This meeting is being recorded.
Peace, people. This is Real Bar Talk with DaHoarsemen. Horsemen, introduce yourself.
Checking in, nonchalant. I'm sorry to step on you.
Nah, it's good. Magna Carta on the check-in.
Nonchalant, checking in.
And I'm Brother JC, and I'm honored to introduce my brother from high school, Robert Snead. We're gonna connect his career with the HBO show We Own the City. It talks about police corruption in Baltimore. And once again, make sure you hit the like button, share, and subscribe to DaHoarsemen, Real Bar Talk. Brother Robert Snead, can you introduce yourself for the people?
Yeah, most definitely. First and foremost, thanks for having me. I'm honored to speak on this topic. It's disgusting what happened, but let's throw some light on it. Best way to disinfect something is to basically shine light on it. And that's already been done, but I can only give my very humble perspectives, and I just try to keep it real as possible.
No doubt, no doubt. Tell us about your career post-Orange High School.
Oh, well, I'm a tornado, as my shirt says, tornado for life, class of 87. Had the honor going to school with JD, my main man, and his mom makes the best pancakes on the East Coast.
I knew that was coming.
That's a beautiful year, 87.
Oh, I agree. But I was raised single parent household. My mom is a retired North school teacher. My brother Kerry was 2 years in back of us. He's Orange High School, class of 89. After high school, I attended Upsala College in nearby East Orange. I was a student athlete there, played basketball. I did all right in school. My grades were good. I maintained that C average, not bad for a private school. I didn't really apply myself the way I should have. A young man coming into his own, I don't make any excuses. I'll give you a reason for everything. A lot of things to my own detriment, but I learned a whole lot more than what my grades reflected. But I would have been eligible to play my junior year. But it's all good. I look back at it, not any stories of, oh, poor me, but I take them and I make it a strength, because that's just what it is. I took some summer classes prior to leaving school. During the basketball season, I didn't like taking heavy caseloads, always on the road, practice schedules, just best for time management. But I was sitting in a summer class, and I had just declared my major of business administration with a minor of marketing. And, it could lead to a very good career. You could definitely support yourself on it. But one thing I had to do early on, I had to look myself in the mirror. And I said, this isn't me. This is not me at all. And growing up, in Orange, New Jersey, I always thought I was a little bit different than the next person. Elementary school, junior high school, high school. And something came across my mind that I thought about the United States military. It's good for opportunities, good for a head start in so many ways, but I'm not that guy. I don't go for the average stuff. I joined the Marine Corps. January 1990, I enlisted in the Marine Corps, went in the Marine Corps after waiting 3 to 4 months, finished Paris Island, came home for 10 days, reported back to Camp Lejeune, went to School of Infantry, Marine Combat Training School, some other schools. Spent some time with the infantry, 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines. Very briefly, went to another school, ended up in Japan, mainland Japan, on a Marine Corps air station, 30 miles south of Hiroshima. Served during Desert Shield, Desert Storm. That had kicked off when I was at Camp Lejeune that summer. Got deployed during the conflict. Didn't spend a lot of time there, but did what I had to do, returned to Japan, Came back to the United States, finished up my tour at Marine Corps Base Quantico. It was away from the fleet. Just another experience putting under my belt. I asked to go to Quantico. It was the closest I can get back home to Jersey. Had a daughter who was like 4 years old at the time, had already missed significant periods of her life. I said, let me at least get somewhere where I could see my daughter more frequently. But also I thought if I was to get out of the Marine Corps, if I was to relocate anywhere other than going back home to Jersey, which was my first choice, I always thought Maryland or Northern Virginia area or somewhere in that DC metropolitan area.
Hey, Robert, can I, where is that Camp Legina, you call it?
Camp Lejeune, it's in North Carolina, Jacksonville, North Carolina.
Have you been getting these emails about lawsuits?
Yes, I have.
I don't know why they're sending them to me. I was nowhere near the military. I'm like, what is this Camp Lejeune about?
Well, you know, it's home of the 2nd Marine Division.
Okay.
Second to none. But I got my first letter probably about 5 years ago. It came from the Department of Defense talking about water contaminations and things like that. It's funny that all the subsequent emails and everything I read, the time period is like from 1953 roughly to 1987. I said, well, the cutoff is in 87. I was there at Camp Lejeune in 1990. What is it? But the list of illnesses and things like that, I would never say I wasn't exposed, but I'm very fortunate that I didn't come down with any cancers or anything serious of that nature. So I'm just thankful, you know, regardless of any type of pending litigation or lawsuits.
So when did you start your career as a Baltimore PD?
Well, I got out of the Marine Corps January 1994. I came home about somewhere around January 15th. And I had looked forward to starting with the New Jersey State Police. New governor took office. First thing they did was cut the state police class that I was allotted for, waiting for. And at the time I was 24, I was about to turn 25. I wasn't waiting around. I tried waiting around for about 7, 8 months, 9 months. Didn't get any calls, notifications. I said, it's time to go ahead and take the next step. I applied with Baltimore, and my background was pretty much already done by other agencies in Baltimore and my Marine Corps background. And it was all clean, no concerns. So I started there in November 94. And my brother was in my same class.
I didn't know that. Now, did that influence, because I heard you say you were that Virginia coming home and Maryland was your choice. Now, was it because Carrie was in Maryland at the time, or where'd that come from?
No, Carrie was actually finishing school. My brother Kerry was in the last graduating class of Uppsala College at East Orange. He was in the very last graduating class, and he was trying to decide on what he wanted to do. He had received his bachelor's in communications, and doesn't matter which your degree is in. And he was like, it's just good to have, opens doors. And we had conversations, and I think it piqued his interest, and we came down. Kerry started basically 1 week after I did.
Wow.
But there was a waiting period for the academy, but we sat side by side with each other in the police academy for 5 months. Then we had some field training before we got our assignments.
All right, so you guys have any questions since we're getting closer to the connection?
I have a question about the show. How closely is the depiction of the show, how close is it to actual reality?
Well, I could say from my experiences, the main character, Wayne Jenkins, they spot on with him. That bigger than life attitude that we would call pompous or arrogant, on point. Unfortunately, I mean, The events that occurred, disgusting, but true. And, you know, I went through the ranks from officer, detective, detective sergeant, detective lieutenant, detective captain. I left as a command officer. I was promoted one more time to major, where I commanded the largest district in Baltimore. I spent a lot of my, initially I spent 20 months in uniform before I was assigned to district level operations and promoted to detective. I became a detective with about 4 years and 5 months on the job, which at that time in 1999, it was pretty rare. Actually, it was August 22nd, 1999, when I was promoted to detective. And I spent the next 6 years in narcotics. As a detective working, I was assigned to a violent traffickers group. We dealt with all the violent drug dealing organizations that impacted the Baltimore metropolitan area. I did that for 18 months. Then I was assigned to a federal task force. I was assigned to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, Achilles Task Force. I was the only Baltimore City detective assigned there at that time. So I worked on a joint task force with ATF agents, a couple of state troopers. I was from Baltimore, a couple other agencies. So that kind of exposed me to a lot more in-depth investigations. I did some long-term undercover investigations with the NYPD, the Bronx County District Attorney's Office. Worked throughout Maryland. I've been to schools. I was sent to school in Atlanta, Georgia, for a week dealing specifically and strictly with firearms trafficking, how to identify the characteristics of armed people, all types of aspects of firearms trafficking, firearms sales, straw purchases. And as a result, working in Maryland, I got to see parts of Maryland that I would have never even went to. I didn't know existed. A lot of out-of-state trips. I was there for 2 years. And while I was there, did some murder for hire investigations, a couple of shorter term narcotics investigations with violence associated with criminal organizations, drug trafficking groups. From there, I spent my last 3 years in narcotics assigned to the United States Drug Enforcement Administration. And if you ever saw like shows like The Wire with wiretaps, basically did that for 3 years. I did some long-term undercover deals. I wasn't just that guy sitting in a room who's just going to do some undercover cases. I did my own cases for my own, basically taking the investigations further. I worked dozens and dozens of wiretap cases. Saw a lot. And this might sound a little crazy, but some of the smartest brothers I've ever met were in that game.
I believe that.
And the thing is, I have no problem with saying it. Fast money ends up in slow time. I mean, you could pick any gated community across the United States when you're doing Fed time. By gated community, I don't mean, exclusive, prominent community. I mean like federal prisons.
Yes.
But but I got a chance to talk to a lot of guys. Biggest thing you have on the street as an officer is your ability to communicate. It's not that Glock on your side or that shotgun. It's your ability to communicate. But also when you deal with people fairly, justly, and respectfully, that's all they ask for. And a lot of these guys, I had no problem telling them, I'm listening to the type of organizations that we eventually infiltrated, dismantled, and prosecuted. Some of these guys were like geniuses. And the thing is, they have the same skill set as someone who operates and runs a Fortune 500 company.
Mm.
Unfortunately, their business was illegal. You had human resources, you had management, you had marketing strategies, you had payroll,
Wow.
you had process improvements. Every aspect of legitimate business is there. And, you know, there was a time where I felt really bad for this one guy, but it just says a lot about where society was. I did thousands.
Rob, 1 second.
Scott, please, Scott.
Because hold on, you know I want to hear the story about the fried chicken, but Magna Carta, you have a question for our distinguished guest. Distinguished guest, my bad, distinguished guest.
Yeah, I got a question. Because based off of what I was you know, taking in while I was watching the show. It looked like in the beginning, Wayne Jenkins was trying to be a good guy. It looked like he was trying to be a good guy, and then his partner was feeding him, this is whatever you learned in your training, forget about that. This is Baltimore. This is how we police. Do you see a lot of young guys come in and then get brought in under the wrong how would you say,
Tutelage.
get influenced by the wrong crowd when they come in, and it rears them off?
You know, bro, that's a really good question. But I'm going to ask you a question. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in Newark, New Jersey.
Where about? What ward?
South Ward, pretty much. But I
Near
moved all
Shabazz.
around.
Near
I moved all
Shabazz.
around. 8th Street,
All right.
11th Street, you know, sometime on Custard Ave. I've been all around. Also spent time in East Orange too. Went to high school in East Orange.
Okay, and here's the variables that I'm throwing at you. Just provoking. I don't do excuses, but everybody has a moral compass, morals, ethics, at least you should. How were you raised? Were you raised wherever you were raised, who you were raised by? Was criminology part of it? Do you have a strong sense of right and wrong?
Yes.
So early on in those segments, he can make any excuse he wants. Any excuse. Does that make it right? Oh, I was taught this. It's sometimes you got to stand up and just be indifferent to whatever somebody else says. But that can happen.
Agreed.
It can happen not just in police departments. Any profession has it. And I'm not going to deflect, because one thing is that there were several acts of corruption, not just that. And it's sickening. And you think as society, the citizens should be disgusted about what happened in Baltimore with the Gun Trace Task Force? Anything other than absolutely disgusted by it is minimizing it. But I'm going to say this. I told JD this. For every one of those officers who was indicted, basically 8 of them, for every 8 of them, there are at least 1,500 active police officers or retirees who are 30 times more disgusted with those acts that gave everybody a black eye. JD and I grew up with some guys who did some unscrupulous stuff. We grew up with them. Saw them every day in school. Sometimes you're dealing with good people on their worst day in law enforcement. But am I going to go ahead and get influenced into getting into that barrel with those crabs that want to pull you down? No. And I'm not trying to come across as self-righteous, but come on, you got to stand for something. I would challenge the 4 of you. Stand up, reach into your wallet. Open up your wallet to include your cars, your house where you live at, all your valuables. And think of one thing that's most valuable to you right now. Jay?
Well, the most valuable thing is not in my wallet, but if it will be a picture of my daughter.
All right, Magna?
Your audio is you muted yourself.
My fault. But yeah, I agree. I don't really have anything valuable in my wallet.
Well, check this out. I'll tell you something that's valuable that you have with you right now. Your name. Because it's your mother's name, your father's name, your children's name, all of that. I don't care how much money somebody tempts you with. Is it worth your name, your legacy, your kids, your reputation? You gotta guard your reputation with your life.
That's
not
a fact.
worth it.
Yeah, me and you was going back and forth when we was at Don Pepe. And I'm like, damn, Scott, how do you resist the temptation? I'm like, I don't know if I could did that. And he was like, you would have did it, Joe. You wouldn't took.
You would have did it. Just like we discussed, JD, bro, I come from humble beginnings and I'm blessed to be where I am today. One, my mom asked me that once. She said, Scott, were you ever tempted to do anything like that? And I looked my mother dead in the eye, trying not to be disrespectful. And I just basically said, did you raise me like that? Then don't ask me that question. You don't steer far away from, your foundation. You laid that foundation for me. I know what it's like not to have anything, and some
It is a
people,
lot of good people though that do have parents that lay a good foundation for them, and they still find a way to get in trouble though.
And you know what? And bro, I get where you coming from, and I'm not trying to come across self-righteous or anything else, but a lot of people, when I was processing for different police departments, tell me about your drug history. Okay, none. Tell me about this. Did you ever do any crimes and you never got? No. I mean, come on, I had some fights in the hood just like anybody else. But no, let's be real, But then they hit you with trying to paint one broad stroke of the brush for everybody. Yep. You grew up in Orange, New Jersey. You never did drugs. You never sold this. You never sold that. No, I didn't. But the thing is, it's like, come on. Some people take the approach, oh, poor me. I grew up in the hood without my father around. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. Flip it. JD, how do we make it out the hood and other people didn't?
I'll tell you one, I think sports played a major role in that.
Absolutely, man.
Sports played a major role. And then parenting.
Yeah, parenting, but then again, it takes a village. And think about everybody we went to school with in single parent households. But I'm not going to underestimate, man. I think we had some really good role models. Even guys who did wrong stuff. They were like, these guys are athletes. Don't do what I did.
Yep.
Don't put your hand on that oven because I don't have any skin on my hand. I don't have any skin left. We had some good teachers. Think about, Crafty Hannibal, may he rest in peace. Week before last, I sat there talking with Greg White, freshman basketball coach. He was football coach, an assistant. But stand-up guy, man, they mentored us, they talked to us, they kept everything real. They might not have told us what we wanted to know or what we wanted to hear, but they told us what we needed to know, and they put it in a context. But just like you said, JD, sports was something, it meant a lot to us. And the lessons that we learned in football, basketball, a lot of those life lessons, they transition from the gridiron or the hardwood into life. And the only thing we could do is pay it back and pay it forward, and just try to show guys the right path. At least.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I think one of the things as well as sports that a lot of times have been, and like I said, no excuses here because excuses are easy, is along with sports is what they've taken out of schools is arts and crafts and shop class.
Mm-hmm.
They've taken a
Yeah,
lot
they
of
don't
that
have
out
that
of the
anymore.
schools. And so you really, like I said, it's no excuses, but they do
It's a reality.
contribute. They do contribute
Absolutely.
to things going awry, or however you say the word.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah,
tell you,
absolutely.
man, I am proud to declare myself as one of the many sons of Orange, New Jersey, born and raised. I lived in East Orange for a couple of years, came back, but that's my source of strength. That's my source of strength. Many times, even though I live in Maryland, I've come home on the weekends, no plans, just ride through the neighborhood, see people I grew up with, man. You know, my mom taught me two things, and she emphasized them. She said, you know, regardless of what you do in life, I want you to have some strong roots, and I want you to know who you are and where you come from. And that's Orange, New Jersey. But also, I want you to have strong enough wings to fly away from home and know where home is. And my mom has since relocated to Maryland, but I find myself going back home. It's not as often as I used to, but that's where I'm from. That's a very big part of who I am, the very essence of who I am. You know, those lifelong lessons, whether it was in Colgate Park, Orange Park, down in the valley, wherever it's Southfield Field, you know,
Perot Street.
Rose Street, exactly, you know, Friendship House,
Yep.
Elmwood Park, you know.
Yeah, we were able to go where we wanted to go. We had an episode earlier this year and was like, yo, we should be able to walk where we want to walk. And I really felt when we were in high school, we could go play at any park, like, and be accepted.
Yeah, you know, you come in peace. You know, you're gonna play ball or do whatever you do. You know, you go play against your rival school, but you know, you all had that bond. You're athletes, you know. I wouldn't ever say, you know, it didn't get a little physical or a little rough. Like, all right, you gotta fight our way out of here, you know.
Yeah.
Might not be who we play against, but they're cousins and brothers and all that. But you know, I'm a Jersey boy by heart, and it's not going anywhere, regardless of where I live.
We're coming up on 30 minutes and we're interviewing declarative retired.
Okay. That was my next question.
I have one thing to say. There was, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna let you say the question. So go ahead, Nonchalant. Say the question.
No. You already answered it, but the question was, my brother, are you still active or are you retired? But you just bro JC just answered that.
How long have you been retired?
I retired January 1st, 2019, and then I went on. I was a command member, but I was the chief of the state apprehension team for 2 years. And I left there. I have a consulting firm right now that I pretty much do, not even part-time. All of last year, I probably worked 2.5 months. But back in school, finishing up some degree requirements that I never got a chance to do by my own decision and priorities.
Thank that. That's one of the things that I always say when you get high school athletes that come out of school and they want to forego college because they have an opportunity to become professional. We see this in hockey, tennis, baseball, where you don't necessarily have to go to the college route. You can, you know, forego college and come back to it. A lot of great athletes have done it. And not only athletes, like that's what you're saying you did. You know, get your career, make the money, and then go and, you know, do what you want to do, finish whatever you want to finish, and make more money.
Agreed.
You know? So I want you to tell any more questions. I want him to tell his one story, man.
Let's
I got a question.
I could say it's kind of effed up, but it's funny. But hey, it's the
I do have a question. Since he was there, you were there for a good while. 2019, retired. So the question that I do have is that do you think is easier or harder to police when you're incentivized the way they were in Baltimore to make those arrests and get guns and weapons and drugs. Do you think it's easier to police that way? For them to be like more going by the book because they're trying to make money and incentivized to make that arrest.
That's a good question. To each his own. There's rules to the game, and it seems like there weren't any for them. But in comparison, was Barry Sanders incentivized to run as many yards as he could? Were there clauses in his contract? Apples and oranges, totally different. But that's a good question. Because their incentives turn into criminology. They turn into crime. So
Right.
all money's not good money in my book.
But you said it earlier though, Rob. You said, was you raised in criminology? Now, if you watched, and I'm glad you used Barry Sanders, because if you saw how his father grinded him, and I don't think like grind, when we hear grind, we think about physical. But I think when I watched the documentary, his father grinded him mentally. Like he made him mentally strong.
God bless him, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that our parents do, you know, not saying our parents don't make mistakes. I'm a parent. I'm sure I made mistakes.
Absolutely.
But there are expectations. You want, sometimes we live vicariously through our children. Our missed opportunities, we don't want our children to miss those opportunities.
True indeed.
But also, you know, the biggest part of being a parent is being a damn hypocrite. You know,
Yeah.
how many times have you talked to your kid and your kid tells you something about your history that you don't even know about, and you like, really? Seriously? You don't know that? You know?
True
But
story.
generational gaps, you know.
True
generational
story.
gaps,
You ain't
man.
supposed to know that.
Exactly, you know. But
That's true story.
you know, my oldest daughter hit me with some stuff a couple of times, and I was just like, wow, you know. And I think I was talking about using diplomacy, and she was like, diplomacy? Your diplomacy was a punch in the face. I mean, what are you talking about? You know, and it's like, no, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, you live and you learn. But also, you know, my oldest daughter is 32, and the dynamics totally change. You know, because even though she's still daddy's girl, but she's an adult. And I would like to say, raise her to be an independent thinker. So she's not always going to mirror what I say or my feelings, but I'm comfortable and proud enough to say I laid that foundation where it's not going to stray, but she thinks past where I initially wanted her to be. And I'm proud of that. You know.
Go ahead, Nonchalant.
I got one more question, and
yeah, and I got one last one too.
it might, I mean, if it's too personal, then I understand. Being that you came through the ranks as you did, and you saw so much corruption and things of that nature, did it leave you, for lack of a better term, traumatized?
No. Now, I didn't see it firsthand, but I will tell you this, like, wow, I don't disclose this to a lot of people, but one of my best friends was in that unit. And he was the whistleblower. And felt like he didn't have anybody in the command to go to. But there was one person he did decide to tell. And you talking to him.
Wow.
And I worked directly for the police commissioner at the time and got the ball rolling on that. So, you know, I would do it again. It's a position of public trust, you know, and there's a constitution. There are a lot of things in place. And when you know better, you should do better.
Right.
It's expected of you. And every day for 26 years of my law enforcement career, 24 in Baltimore, my 4 years in the Marine Corps, working around the world, 30 years of time in the Marine Corps and in law enforcement and in leadership positions. Every day for those 30 years, I guaranteed the quality of my work with my life. I put my life on the line for other people who couldn't protect themselves. And it was an extreme honor to do it. Sometimes you were spit on by the community, yelled at, disrespected, cursed at, you know. And reflecting back, you got to grow into it, you know. You grow into it because looking back at a lot of instances, they weren't yelling at me. They're yelling at the uniform for whatever frustration that they might have had. And it takes you a while to understand that. And sometimes, you know, you just got to reach back. And when you have these young 21-year-old officers, 21-year-old officers, 22, 23-year-old officers, they don't have a lot of life experience. And you got to coach them up like a defensive back. You might be a nickel cornerback. You got to coach them up like they're going to be next week's lockdown receiver, if that makes any sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
You might be that third string running back. Somebody goes down with a knee injury. You're going from third string to second string. Now you're expected to carry the ball 18 to 20 times next Sunday. You know, you got to coach them up. You don't always have all the right answers, but if you steer them in the right direction and let them know you're there, you know, that's the first step.
Yeah, me being a 49ers fan, I don't really like to listen to anything that has to do with defensive backs because we have none. So that's just my disclaimer I wanted to throw out there. I don't like listening about defensive backs.
But you guys have a damn good fullback who came from Ravens country. Juszczyk. I loved him when he was here. I still love him, even though he's a 49er.
Oh yeah, we love Juice. We love Juice. We take him 8 days out of the week. We love Juice, but defensive back talk it gives me nightmares talking about defensive backs.
Man, Carter, you had another question?
Yeah, my last question. Because I was curious about this too. I do have a good friend that that is part of the Camden police, Camden County. I wanted to ask you, what would you say to a young person that wants to get into law enforcement, in particular Baltimore, and they're having doubts about doing it? What would be the pros and cons that you would you know, or advice you would give them when they're thinking about joining law enforcement?
Well, whether it's Baltimore, whether it's Newark, whether it's Camden, whether it's Los Angeles, whatever it is, you know, come with a clean heart and an open mind. And, you know, the thing is, you know, you're going to serve the public. Be selfless about it. Our communities are marginalized enough, and you have to be that shining star for them. You got to be fair, firm, compassionate. There are a lot of things that, you know, our reality as Black men, there's certain things that other people, they get a slap on the hand with. Certain things for us, they're non-forgiving. They're unforgiving. You know, we make a mistake and, you know, criminal records don't go away in 7 years like bankruptcy. You know, you can make a mistake when you're 18 years old. You get your life back on track, and 38 years old, 40 years old, you're trying to get a job, and that's in your background. There's no such thing as, oh, I did that when I was 18. You know, I got by it. It sticks with you. But, you know, just got to recognize, you know, certain things in our community, you know, you have some people, how could you do that? How could you do this? I'm like, you should be glad and want more people that look like me. coming to your house if you have a problem, or, you got to represent. But it has to be compassionate. There's certain times that, I shared a bunch of things with JD. I remember this one incident, and I'll take 2-3 minutes to go over it. But one of my good friends, he left the BPD, and he's from Trenton, New Jersey. We were detectives. We weren't assigned to this call, but we went to a call because we were just close by, and it was like a busy summer night. And it was like a whole bunch of thunderstorms and stuff like that whole week, bad weather. And we went, and basically the call was breaking and entering into a house. So we showed up. We're not in uniform. I had a sports coat on, like a polo shirt or something. Took my jacket off, so did my partner. We talked with the uniform guys who were there. And you could hear some people inside the house. And the door was like right in front of us. So I said, hey, I'll get on your channel. We'll go around the back. So we went around the back, and we were able to get in the back door. So, of course, we pulled our weapons out, and they're at the ready position, but low. And while I'm standing there, I saw some little feet pittering and pattering, and they came by me. So I dropped my weapon, to the low, like, was that like a toddler? So then I heard some people talking up front. We maneuvered our way around the house, and there was a guy sitting there on the floor. And he had a little girl in between, like sitting there on the floor in between his legs. And this guy is combing the little girl's hair. And we just looked at him, hey, what's going on? Come to find out, he was a squatter. He was there with his 2 daughters. It wasn't his house. Yeah, they broke the lock in the back of this house that was unoccupied. I won't say vacant. It was unoccupied. And the owner of the house ended up showing up outside talking with the uniform guy. So, talked to the guy 5-10 minutes before the uniform officer made his way in. And come to find out, the guy was like, he was really down on his luck. He was fired from his job. His wife was like in between jobs, but able to pick up a part-time job. They had 2 kids. His wife had left to go pick up some of their personal belongings. And the uniform officer, I think I had maybe a couple of years more time on than he did, maybe about 4 years. But he's talking about criminal charges and stuff like that. I get it. He broke into a vacant house. But I think at that point, not in my career, but in my life, I was more in tune with thinking not just like a cop legally, but that's some compassionate stuff. It's like, it's real. Mm-hmm. I talked to this guy, I said, you popped the lock in here. He said, we needed somewhere to stay. But I looked at it from a perspective of, this guy was maybe 3-4 years younger than me. He was wrong, but I said, this guy is sitting in a vacant house combing his daughter's hair, changing his baby's diaper. His wife was going out to pick up some of their things. JD, was your dad around when you were growing up?
Not one day.
Mine either. Was yours nonchalant?
Nah.
Magna?
Nope.
But I immediately thought, I said, this is a stand-up dude. Is there a right way to do wrong? In this case, is this a criminal matter? This is survival. This dude found some shelter for him and his family. He popped the lock. Is it wrong under the color of the law? Yeah. But this dude said, we're going to be a family regardless. I'm taking care of mine.
Mm-hmm.
The uniform officer called his supervisor. These guys trying to trump me and blah, 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 blah. I said, absolutely. I had to have a conversation. I was a detective at the time. I had to have a conversation with a sergeant. Unfortunately, I had to take control of the narrative. I didn't know this guy from Adam. So when's the last time you've been arrested? Have you ever been arrested? He's like, it's been like 15 years. Not on parole, probation, anything else. The owner of the property was like making such a stink out of things. I get it. It's your property. I said, what do we have here? I said, what's the damage that he really did? And he was like, the lock and the door. I said, how much is that? I went over to the guy and said, look, I hate to put it to you like this. I said, how much money do you have on you? He said, I got so much money, $150 for his family. I said, this guy's complaining about the lock, the door. I said, can I offer you some advice? I said, I can't get involved in this, but I already set the stage. I said, go over there, apologize to that guy, find it in your heart to give him half of your money so you can get this lock fixed. And everything else, I'm sure will work its way out. And he did that. He had to hear the guy's mouth through the whole conversation. And the guy was going on. I just said, take it on the chin. I'll get this guy to do the reports and all of that. I told the sergeant that we've known you for 15 years and you're not into any criminology. You're not into the life of crime. And it worked out. And the guy walked away, and I just said, hey, just be careful, till you take care of your kids. And luckily, we were able to direct them to a shelter, like at a nearby church or something. And I just remember, like, the uniform officer, he was talking about how many charges he could get. And I'm thinking, shut up.
Really? We ain't here for that.
And would he have been right by the job? Yes. But I do realize that there's certain things that you can do as a police officer, just my experience. And like I said, I had to grow into this, and excuse my French if I come out of my face with an inappropriate word, but there's some things, like, had that guy been arrested, some things that could so-called make you an outstanding cop, can make you a fucked up human being.
That's right. That's what I want to say.
Yeah.
Robert Snead. I think that made you a great human being. But the next story that I would like for you to share with us is when you was a great cop, but maybe
not so good of a human being.
Maybe not so good a human being.
Well, here it is.
Good segue. Good segue.
Right, it's all good. No, it's nothing illegal.
This is Real Bar Talk. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe.
Here it is.
True stories.
I was doing a case. We got introduced to this guy in this group, this trafficking group. And I gained his trust, and I was doing some purchases from him, some weight. And this guy he had his own apartment, but also he would always go around his mom's neighborhood. I won't say where his mom lived at. I'll just say it was in Baltimore. And this one day I kind of stalled him out on the time we were supposed to meet. It was very calculated because I kind of figured I knew where he would go. And I did that. And he ended up going to his mom's house. He went to his mom's house, and he never did any dirt at his mother's house. On this one day, because I stalled him out, that's where he went. So he took some stuff, his product, to his mom's house because he still had a bedroom there, even though he didn't use it. And he kind of stashed it there. So when I showed up about an hour and a half late, he said, hey, walk down here to my mom's house. And I had surveillance teams all over me. I was covered. And I went down here, and he said, let me run in here real quick. So I stepped right inside the door with him. And when I stepped inside, his mother and his aunt were sitting there. And I'm looking around, and this place was spotless, clean. and there was this aroma of this fried chicken coming straight out of the grease. And I was sitting there like, damn, I didn't even eat lunch. And they had cornbread muffins, they had iced tea, all this stuff. So this guy, he shoots up these steps, and I'm just standing there. So his mom saw me around there once or twice. So she turned around and said, "Hey, baby, how you been?" I was like, "I'm all right, blah, 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 whatever." She said, "Have you eaten? Would you like some chicken?" "Certainly." "Yes, ma'am." She was taking some chicken right out of the grease, just popping. Wow, wow. The smell is like so good. She took this big piece of aluminum foil in a paper towel. She patted it dry. She wrapped it up for me, and they had these little paper bags. So she put it in the bag. And I was like, "Well, thank you. I greatly appreciate it." She was like, "He's so polite. Matter of fact, take something right now, too. Take that other piece of the road with you." So she's sitting there. She's like, "You want some hot sauce on it?" And I was like, "What is a leg quarter without hot sauce?" So she's popping it all on there. Gave me a soda. I got a soda in my pocket. So I'm sitting there eating a big piece of chicken. I got another piece in the bag. I'm putting it inside my pocket. Old boy comes down. We do the deal. I had some money already. Gave it to him. He gave me a package. So we start walking out. And I was like, "Man, this chicken is good." I'm eating the chicken, eating it. So I kind of, I broke off, got to my car, followed me out of there. End up indicting the guy. I had been buying from him like over an extended period of time. And it came time where he got indicted. And a lot of these guys in the Baltimore area, like real close, they cruise, they'll come to court with him and stuff like that because they figure, man, the feds got him. He going away. It's not a matter of is he going away, but how long will he be going away? And, so all his boys were in there who weren't in his crew dealing with him like that, just showing support. And I was at the courthouse that day, of course, because it was my case. So I'm sitting there, and he knew me as Scott from Jersey. So, I'm talking with him. He's like, "Hey, thanks for supporting me. Thanks for showing up for my case. It means so much." I was like, "Hey, whatever I could do, bro. I'm just trying to be here for you." He still don't know I'm a cop. So he goes in with his attorney. I knew his attorney, but his attorney didn't see me. His attorney didn't know my name, but he knew the face. So they go in and they're sitting at the defense table. And the U.S. attorney is sitting on the opposite side with the case agent, which was one of my partners. So about 5 minutes in, the judge called for me. He was like, "Everybody who's involved in the case, bring them in." So somebody came out in the hall and they called for me. "Hey, they need you up front." So I'm walking up front down the center aisle, and he looked over his shoulder and he saw me. And initially, he thought I was just moving up to get a closer seat to listen to what was going on. So I got up to the table and I just turned around and I looked at him. And he looked at me and he was like really confused. And the judge was like, "Detective Robert Snead, DEA?" I was like, "Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor." He said, "You guys ready to proceed today?" I said, "Yes, Your Honor, ready." So, oh boy, his mouth just fell open. Like, oh, he started talking to his attorney, and they asked for a quick recess. So I walked out of the courtroom.
I bet they did.
Right. So he walked out in the courtroom. He walked out of the courtroom, and his attorney was off. He didn't want to say anything that was going to incriminate himself, which, it was cool. Just two dudes rapping. So he came over to me. He was like, "Scott, is that your name? Is that even your name? Really? Seriously?" He was like, "You a cop? Seriously?" And he stood there for a second. He was just like, "You know what?" He said, "The game is what it is." He said, "But it's fucked up. You ate my mom's chicken, bro." He was like, "I'm not even mad at you. All that stuff I was selling you." He said, "But you ate my mom's chicken." I said, "It was good though, bro." But,
I couldn't resist.
Yeah, I was like, "Yo, it's part of the game. You on the field, play ball." But,
Right.
But we had a subsequent conversation where he was like, at least you ain't bring no grime to the game. There's some dudes out there that bring grime to it. He's like, you
Was he a good guy even though he was selling?
Bro, he was cool. With him, I would just say, for him, it was business. There was no violence associated, no direct link to him with any violence, because the game was going to have violence with it. But, you know, it was like just business to him, and that's how he dealt with it.
You gave him some advice, though, Scott, according to what I recall.
Yeah, and it came like a lot of our deals, it was part of a wiretap, so it wasn't just him. And because he carried it like that, I kind of told him, I say, look, you know, there was another guy, we picked him up. It was like doing a wiretap. Usually if you do any undercover, you don't get involved in any of the arrests. But this other guy was just like him. It was just business with him. He wasn't into the violence and all of that. He was like the organization's cut man. You know, he did all the cutting and packaging and all of that stuff. But we picked him up, and he didn't realize what was going on until we got off the elevator, and he saw this big sign that said United States Drug Enforcement Administration. And then when we sat down in the room, he started putting things together. And he just looked at me, and, you know, when we were driving over there, because my buddy put the cuffs on him, he was like, Scott, you snitched on me, man. You gave me up. You gave me up, you know, and I didn't say anything. And I was thinking, the light's going to go off. It's going to wake him up in a minute. But it didn't for about a half hour. And we were sitting there, and I pulled out my credentials, and I slid them across the table to him. And he was looking at my DEA credentials, and he was like, you really a cop, man? Seriously?
He couldn't believe it. He couldn't
I would have
believe
never
it.
thought it, you know. But and I told him, I said, hey man, look. I said, really, there's nothing. He didn't realize it was a wiretap, and we got all his boys and all this other stuff. And he thought he had like just getting arrested for one charge, but he had a bunch of them. We like basically stacked the warrants up on him. And I had told him, I said, hey, look, if I can give you any advice when you talk to your attorney, I said, look out for yourself. I said, this is real cloudy and foggy right now, but probably somewhere down the line in the next couple of weeks, things are going to be real clear to you. They'll be even more clear. And I said, we're actually going to end up coming back to see you in a couple of weeks. I said, I'm just going to see how you're doing. I said, there's not really too much that you can tell us that we already don't know. And we saw him in court a couple of weeks later, and it was clear. He was just like, that somebody had tried to put a hit out on him, and he got stabbed while he was in custody. And but he ended up being all right. But he was like, I get it. He was like, I appreciate, you know, what we discussed. And he was like, you guys really did know all of this. I was like, yeah, there's nothing that we could have really asked you that we didn't know. But I said, look out for yourself. And I was glad he was able to do that. And the dude, he did some time. He did a bunch of time. And I saw him a couple of times. I ran into him. And he's on his feet, and he bounced back, you know. He took a fall, but the fall is nothing. You got to get back up.
You got to get back up. On behalf of go ahead, finish up.
No, but it's cool. You know, it's, you know, you gotta deal with life, or life will deal with you. And I think he's a better person today, stronger for it.
We are all. On behalf of the Horsemen, I'd like to thank you for blessing our podcast. We just getting started. We're gonna segue into some sports talk. But before that, we want to talk about the Sesame Place incident. I briefly spoke to you about that earlier today. Anybody opposed to just making some comments on that today at this moment, or y'all want to go to another topic?
I have no comment for that. I have no comment for it at all.
I mean, I'll let you comment on that or someone else.
Yeah,
It was heartbreaking, man. When the little
Yeah.
girl had her arms out and the guy waved her off, I was just like, oh.
What I did hear about, I don't know how true it is. That wasn't the first time that has happened. Whereas they have a history of that. You know, I don't know if it's just that Muppet character or whoever is in the Muppet character, but I did hear that was not the first time. And I mean, it's not a word that I can use that's gonna. It's very unfortunate, you know. That's pretty much my take.
What I'm confident of is the people that's on this panel right now. If that was to happen to our children, I don't think we would have took that like those people who didn't report it before. Sometimes I feel like our people, we look for validation from other people. We don't love ourselves. And that's why we get treated the way we do.
But you know, the little girls, the mother's response, she stood strong. And she was very dignified, very articulate in every syllable of every word that she spoke. She didn't say too much, but she got directly to the point. And some people, they don't know what kind of response they were hoping to get from her, but she didn't give it to them. So I commend her for speaking up, not just about her own children, but other people that look like us that have been impacted by that. And curious to see what the future holds with that incident.
The things that happen to people of our community. We talked about sports earlier. Me coaching high school sports for over 10 years and seeing how sometimes the playing field is not even. You know, you gotta beat the 11 on the field and you gotta beat the zebras. And so I wanna move to, like, what does that mentally do to that person on the field when you gotta beat the 11 opponents or the 5 and the zebras? Like, so we wanna always acknowledge like the mental trauma that's involved when we're just saying you're not good enough to be here. That's why you're not gonna win. Like, a person that's able to take their child to an amusement park, and I could count on one hand the times I went. We used to have an amusement park up the street from my house on Perot Street. I forget the church. I probably went to Great Adventures one time as a child. So, like, if we don't take care of our children, who's gonna take care of them? Who's gonna look out for them?
I agree with that. And to dive a little deeper into it, I think one of the things is, well, it's a lot of things, but it's the little things that make up a lot, put it that way. And I think for far too long, we don't know thyself. So it goes back to what you were saying, bro, JC. We seek validation in other people. And I said it before, I'm gonna say it again. If you don't know who you are, you're gonna have somebody else telling you who you are, and it's usually going to be less value than what you are. You know what I'm saying? So, so these things we keep coming up. They're not treating me properly. You know what I mean? I think as in my humblest of opinions, if you start your children out already knowing how valuable they are, or how you can't even put a price on them, priceless. You know what I mean? And I think once doing that, you actually build them up to when stuff like this does happen, it's going to be what it is. It's not going to be that deep. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be because, oh, okay, I'm not even worried about that over there because I already know who I am. So I don't have to worry about validation with that because that's minimal. You know what I mean? Compared to what I am. That's minimal compared to what I am. So that's just my little take.
Magna Carta, you got something for us?
Or as far as this situation,
Yeah, just the topic before we
no,
move on.
I feel like I'm always repeating myself when I talk about these situations. That's why I usually just say no comment. Like it's really like nothing that I could really say that hasn't already been said or has been, you know, has been that's already been said. Like every time you turn around is another situation. Every time. It's like I start getting like numb to it. I'm like, damn, and nothing surprises me anymore. Nothing surprises me anymore. Is yeah, it's just just that's the way it is, man. I can't. There's nothing else I can say that hasn't already been said about these situations.
It's almost like we're saying that's the system.
Yeah, that's the way it works.
Only problem with the system is like we're used to like black men, black women being attacked or coming up short, but like this was the first time, and probably not the first time, but the first time I saw like babies.
Mm-hmm.
Like you slighting a baby, like who are you? Like that just made me very angry.
And it did what it's supposed to do then.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's planting the seed in them little girls.
Once
planted the seed.
One of the things is if your vibration is always on a lower level of fear and anger, it did what it's supposed to do. Because now, I'm not saying these aren't emotional situations. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it's of no coincidence of what it's doing. You know what I mean? It's right on. It's actually right on time. You know what I'm saying?
And it doesn't surprise
Right
me.
on
I'm
time.
sorry to say that. Like I'm not surprised at all that it happened. Like I used to be like, wow, they really did that? Wow, I can't believe that happened. It doesn't do that for me anymore. I
Right.
am not surprised by anything that happens anymore.
Right.
Sorry to say it. Nothing surprises me.
Robert
Nothing.
Snead, you got anything you want to add on to that?
Yeah, we just can't become numb to it. You know, when you start getting numb and that becomes the norm, the time is now. You got to say something. You got to speak up and do whatever we got to do to prevent the next incident. You know,
I just think on top of that, because we're used to that, we always used to playing defense. Sometimes you got to play offense if you want some W's on your scoreboard.
you know, and that's just a thing. You know, me as a man, you come at me, that's one thing. You come at my kids.
Yeah.
It's on.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. I'm not denying that at all. All I'm saying is we always sit back and we're very good at reacting. You know what I'm saying? We don't do a lot of action. That's all I'm saying. And so when you're a reactive type of person, then you're not. It's not an initiative type of situation. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm talking about, the offense. You have to initiate things, because if you're always on the defense, then you're always looking for what's next. Do I have to defend? I'm not saying that that's not part of it. I'm just saying offensively, sometimes we gotta be over here before they're over here. Sometimes we gotta beat them to. It's called in boxing beating somebody to the punch.
And what organization company was that?
Or organization? What do you mean?
What company? Sesame
Place.
Oh, Sesame
Place. And they said I hear that they connected to SeaWorld.
So we have to know the value. We have to know the value of our own money and what we spend.
That's exactly my point.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
That's kind of what I started with.
Yeah, we can't be
You have to know
exploited.
your value, and that comes with economics. That comes with self. You have to know that. If you don't know that, you better go find that.
You don't know. If you don't know that, you know that you don't know thyself.
Right. That's all. All that's under the same umbrella.
Nonchalant, you got a topic because
No, I had one,
Mr.
but
Snead
I
is
can't.
versed.
Huh?
I said because Mr. Snead is versed in sports, so we might as well keep it running. The horseman lives.
Yeah. Let it
The
go with
horseman-
sports because
the horseman
mine
live.
was on the I didn't do my research on the music, so I have to wait.
All right, Matt Carter, you got something to speak on?
I know we talked about we were going to say something about the pastor that got
Yeah.
robbed.
Yeah, I ain't do my research, so enlighten me.
Well, I didn't really do any research, but I did see it on the news though. They were
Right,
talking
right.
briefly about it, about how this guy shows up preaching in like $50,000 to $80,000 worth of jewelry with him
$1
all the
million.
time,
How much?
all the time,
$1 million.
like from
They said it was
$50,000 to
$1 million worth of
$80,000.
jewelry.
Yeah, at that time, that day, he had $1 million worth of jewelry.
Wow.
My question is, Pastor, do your petitioners sport that type of jewelry?
Mm.
And drive a Rolls or Bentley, whatever? Come on.
Yep, he driving a $300,000 car. He coming in there with $1 million worth of jewelry,
They said it
and
was
he
only
has a
in church.
he had quite a background too.
Yeah, there's only like 30 members in the church at the time. 30, 35, less than 50.
Mm.
Doesn't
Yeah,
add up.
So they paying. So what they? He only has 30 to 50 members, and he can afford that.
At that time, at least when the robbery went down.
Okay. I mean, sound like reparations for someone. I mean, we got Creflo Dollars that just came out and said, you know, tithing is not in the Bible. We got Bishop T.D. Jakes, you know, saluting the fathers. So, I mean, I guess it's another case of the chickens come on home to roost. I don't know. Like, they've been robbing the Black community for years.
What I do know is that if you are a pastor that is, or a bishop is that fortunate, there should be no one that is unfortunate in your circle at all, anywhere.
Agreed.
For you to be a man of the cloth, you should not have anyone struggling around you to be that fortunate. And if you do, then it's something wrong. I'm gonna have to question him.
I'm not sticking up for this guy, but this has been going on for a long time, way before I was born. So it didn't start with him. So it is what it is. It did not start with this man. And it's not going to end with this man. So when he passes on or what have you, there's still going to be these types. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And until I'm not here preaching right and wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if we're gonna hold him accountable, let's hold them all accountable. That's all.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
That's for sure. Accountable.
All of them. Yes.
How is Creflo Dollar, you know, flying around in a jet? Where you get that money from? You know.
And listen, I'm not even saying like, and this is my thing too. I'm not saying that it's right that they have all these things, but what I'm saying is you need to take care of your people too.
Yeah.
Come on, son.
Come on, son.
You have to be taking care of your people. If you flying in jets, whoever's supporting you, whoever's coming to see you, they shouldn't be struggling. They shouldn't have to, like, those people, you need to be taking care of them.
You got to make sure you feed them.
You got to make sure you feeding them.
I'm going to say it one more time. Maybe they wasn't flying around in jets before, but this didn't start with this man. So whereas what is it called? The congregation?
Mm-hmm.
they're all a lot of them come from denominations but that are not well off economically. So with that being said, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying as far as them taking care of the people. This just all this is doing is highlighting something that's histories that is years, decades, whatever old. This is not a new construct.
Not at all.
Well said.
It doesn't surprise me either. But I just can't understand how you can be preaching and have people that's suffering in your community and you have that much. That's
Well,
just
after I believe it was Katrina, when the people of New Orleans had to go to Houston, they tried to post up at Joel Osteen Church and he didn't let them in.
Yeah, it wasn't
That's what I was
Katrina. It was
seeing.
more recent than that. But yeah, I remember.
More
what you're
recent,
talking
yeah.
about.
I remember they was trying to get to Osteen Church and he didn't open the doors for him.
Right. That's the type of thing I'm talking about.
That's when I stopped watching him.
I never watched him, but that's the type of thing I'm talking about, though. You have a mega church, and now when it's time for the mega church to provide for the people, you're gonna turn them away. That's crooked, man. That's wicked. That's wicked. That is no humanity.
How long has these
no
things
humility.
been going on?
Forever.
Yeah.
But
Forever.
again, it's all about validation and saying that I'm a member of this congregation. Have you gone to, Creflo Dollar Church in New York City? Have you did this? Nah, I watch it on TV for free.
So I got a question though. I got a question, right? If we know this has been going on for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it continues to go on.
Right.
I just have a question. If you're still a part of that, who's the fool?
Mm-hmm.
We already know. You already know. This is real bar talk.
Like I said, I'm not talking about good and wrong. Right, I said good and wrong. Right and wrong. I'm just talking about being intelligent. That's all.
Right.
This is
I
real
agree with
bar
that.
talk with the Horsemen. We have a special guest, Robert Snead. We're about to wrap it up. Let's get into a little sports.
Yeah, we could do a little sports.
Luis Castillo, Juan Soto, trade deadline.
I don't want to talk about Soto. I
MLB
already explained to you what we need. We need pitching, and if we don't get a pitcher, I don't care who we bring in to swing the bat. We've been in the top of the top for the past 10 years in offense, and we have 0 championships. I don't need somebody to swing the bat because when it goes into the playoffs, those bats get cold. And the only thing that's going to get you out of it is pitching.
Are you not worried about Aaron Judge hitting free agency?
If it was a meter from 1 to 10 in the beginning of the year, I was at a 1. I wasn't worried at all. Now I'm at like a 4.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm at like a 4.
And we're negotiating, I think, with a Kansas City outfielder too. Is it from Texas? Last name started with a B. I can't even pronounce it. But
yeah.
I did do some research, and they said that we had benched a couple of minor league players. Our number 1 outfielder. I know the shortstop is ranked number 8. So,
my bad, fellas.
Do you know the trade deadline?
No, not exactly. I don't know the trade deadline, but I'm gonna be watching it in the next few days because I thought that our problem was gonna be fixed by in-house, but we brought up Domingo Germán and he got rocked by the Astros, so it looks like he's still not ready. Severino, he can't stay healthy.
For the audience, we're talking about the New York Yankees.
Yes, the New York Yankees. Severino still can't stay healthy. Nestor Cortez, and we got.
He had a good outing. Cortez had a very good outing.
Yeah, we got Cortez and
I think against Baltimore, right? Scott's
it was
team.
Baltimore, yeah.
What's your teams, Robert Snead?
Ravens.
I like that. I like that answer. I like that answer. I was about to answer similar.
Yeah, because I'm just waiting on the Lamar Jackson contract extension.
Okay.
I'm waiting in similar
All
circles.
right, my fault, Magna Carta. Interesting. Let's just go there.
Yeah, let's go there.
Did anyone see the provisions in Kyler Murray contract that he has to do at least 4 hours of studying? You see how they always give us a backhand?
But he kind of played himself on that.
That's a reasonable expectation when you getting paid that much money.
Okay.
I mean,
I just look at it as a slight. Like they said the same thing about McNabb. Like he don't have the study habits.
Let's be real.
We're gonna pay you, but you gotta do this.
Well, that works for the organization. I'm always for the player, and I'm just saying. Obviously, they know of his study habits, or habits
lack thereof.
Or lack thereof. There you go. And so,
JD, you're a school teacher. They expect you to do your lesson plans and present them, right?
Got to do the lesson plans.
Absolutely.
I'm about to come in here. I'm about to come in real quick about that though.
Go ahead.
I'm fine with that too. The thing I have a problem with is when they compare his studying to Mac Jones. Mac Jones can be compared to another player of his complexion instead of Kyler Murray when you talk about his contract. That's what I didn't like.
Right. And
like I'm pretty sure. What we talking about? We talking about what Josh Allen do? Don't compare him to Murray and Mac Jones.
There you go.
When you talk about his money, that's what I don't like. He's like, oh no, he's Mac Jones is the opposite of Kyler Murray. No, Mac Jones could be the opposite of one of them other dudes. Why it had to be Kyler Murray when he's trying to get his money? That's the only thing I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Okay, Kyler Murray don't study, but don't compare him to a Mac Jones when you talking about him getting his money and how he's not as good as Mac Jones with studying. That's all I'm saying.
And that's what I was saying about the money thing. Like we could go on this tirade and say, well, such and such is not worth that. They're paying you this. We could do that. But all I'm saying is, it's not about what you're worth. It's about what you can negotiate. And if you negotiate, like who's negotiating for you?
Kyler Murray.
Murray, yeah. Because I would have been like, nah, I'm not putting that in my clause. No, I'm not doing that.
Right.
I'm not doing that.
You know
no,
what,
I'm not doing that.
But
So
keeping it real, about 15, 16 years ago, it was a while ago, I remember something, and God bless Allen Iverson. Very talented dude. I remember when he and Marcus Camby, you guys remember Marcus Camby from UMass?
Absolutely.
They made such a stink about a dress code.
Yeah.
While sitting on the bench while they injured. You get paid how many millions of dollars a year to conform? You make 10 times more than most people in Fortune 500 companies. You Fortune 500 all day long with your money. You make playing the game. It's hard work, but let's be real. You played the game as a kid. You love it. Now it's a business aspect. It's too much to ask you to wear a collared shirt and a pair of slacks and lose the 35 gold chains
my thing
for 2
is,
hours on the bench.
My thing is back to what you said. If it's just a game and it's basketball, why can't he show up on the sidelines, what you would normally wear playing basketball?
There's a difference. When you are a high school athlete or a college athlete, you are a student athlete. When you step into the big leagues, now you are a professional athlete. Allen Iverson, you went to Georgetown. Tell me John Thompson didn't mandate you to wear a shirt, a tie, and a jacket at Georgetown for basketball games.
Okay.
Okay.
It's also a business. Meaning those same guys that brought millions and millions of dollars to the universities didn't get a penny, or they got peanuts compared to what the university got.
Absolutely.
Because this is a business as well. We could say it's just a game, but it's big. NCAA is big business.
Okay.
It's not high
Absolutely.
school. It's
You
big
are absolutely
business.
right.
So
But here it is.
I think that it would behoove them to not have a say-so on what they can wear when you're bringing in money. You're not just showing up, you're bringing in money. And it's not just you that's getting money. The people that are paying you are getting far more hands over fist than what you're getting.
Absolutely. But you're a professional.
Right. But it's all money. It's all money. This is
It
big
starts
business.
with an attitude. But it
I'm
also
okay
starts
with them
an
mandating a dress code and everything like that. The thing that made it the problem, it was, to me, I feel like it was an attack on Iverson
Absolutely.
because of his lifestyle.
Yeah,
They felt wasn't appropriate for their business,
absolutely.
not because it was some sort of, it wasn't the look, it was how he felt like he was representing the NBA, but he couldn't be an individual. That's the problem that I was having with that.
You said
That's
it way
okay.
better
You
than I
want
did.
yeah,
I see,
it's
I see it
go
both
ahead, brother Joe.
ways. I
See it both ways. I do see it both
both
ways.
points. I see both
Yeah.
points. I see both points.
Yeah, we can have a dress code, but it wasn't a problem until Iverson, though. There wasn't a problem that I could remember when they were saying it out like that until Iverson.
It was
He
not.
was too loud. He was too loud for them. And that's what brought it on. That's the problem I have.
And it was
If it was
Gotta
always
behave, boy.
right.
and it was only into the European culture, whatever it was gravitated to, his look. See, once they start to buy into the look and it makes money, now they're like, oh, just how you want. So when we make money for them, then it's okay. But initially, they were like, no, this ain't good for our brand, because when you look in the arena, the league is 75% African American, but the people in the stands are white. So, so the commissioner's always looking at, well, the people that's paying for the ticket is not from the hood. So
Right.
I see the little dilemma. However, you gotta let people be individuals, and you gotta say, listen, man, we ain't expecting you to wear a suit and tie, but can you put a polo style shirt on and some slacks? Let's meet.
I'm fine with that.
Let's learn how to meet in the middle. But I think people that come from a corporate or the ownership point of view or standpoint, they can't help when we buck against them. And I'm gonna segue this to football.
It's
The
a
only
control
reason
thing.
why it's a control thing. The only reason why, and I'm in my feelings now, the only reason why Amari Cooper is not in Dallas is because he didn't get COVID. He didn't get a COVID test, a COVID shot. That's the only reason. We're just chattel to them. We'll trade you for a 5th round pick, even though you are at 1st round value, because we're really not that valuable to them. We're just something they can just get rid of.
They did him a favor. Who wants to play in Dallas anyway?
I agree. They did.
I agree.
No, I agree.
I agree with that too. I agree with that too.
Salute. Who wants to play there anyway?
I mean,
That's right. I agree.
Yo,
Hey,
bro, JC.
Hey, brother Snead, I wish they would have traded him to the Ravens, and I know he would win the Super Bowl.
I just want to.
They sent it to Cleveland. I'm like, damn.
Hey, bro, JC, what was that first salute? I ain't never seen that one before.
I got to salute when I see it. That's
Nah, it wasn't that one. It was another
Prime
one.
example. Prime example. Die-hard Ravens fan. But there's certain dudes I would not want in my locker room if I was a coach. Antonio Brown is as talented as they come.
Oh, please.
Don't even come in my zip code. I
Yeah,
don't need
please.
Odell Beckham. Very talented. Take that one somewhere else. Go
somewhere
far
else.
away.
Go somewhere else.
I pay you to stay away.
Yes, stay
Talented.
away.
But drama queens, man.
Man,
Yeah,
but
stay away.
That's the
Yes, they are.
double-edged sword. That's the double-edged sword. they saying, oh, we need you to be an alpha male. Okay, so when you get an alpha male like Antonio Brown, Odell Beckham, Terrell Owens,
Odell
Dez
lost me when
Bryant,
he showed
all
that.
them dudes, and you
Odell
don't
lost
want
me,
them.
man.
But then you get
He
somebody
lost me
like
when he
Coop,
was in that
and you treat him
cold
the
tub with
same
the
way.
guy. Nah.
Right. Yeah, so it's pretty much they just being wide receivers. That's all. I don't call it nothing else, but they just wide receivers. That's in their
Divas.
DNA to be like that. But Amari
Hey.
Cooper is different. I'd take Amari Cooper on my team any day of the week. But Antonio Brown, please, no. Odell, please, no.
Very talented.
No.
Talented.
Well,
No.
you guess who Tampa Bay
Put
picked
him
up
in my
today?
locker room.
True, look at one of the best to do it.
T.O.?
T.O.
I wouldn't want him in my locker room.
He was. We had
I'll
him.
take him any day. I'll take him
I
any
take
day.
T.O. though. It's something
I'll
about
take
T.O. I me too. It's something about T.O. I take him. And you know why though?
There's
He
exceptions
gonna
to the
work
rule.
harder than Antonio Brown. He gonna work harder than Antonio Brown and Beckham put together.
Yes.
And he gonna play on a broken leg.
Yes.
He gonna play hard for your team.
Yes.
Now, I don't know about these other guys.
I'm taking T.O.
Antonio Brown quitting at halftime. Antonio Brown quitting at halftime. T.O. not gonna do that.
Nah, not at all.
Brother Snead. So
I'm taking
now
T.O.
I'm taking
Me
T.O.
too.
We already.
I mean, we
Me
already had T.O. So there you go.
The three.
So
three
did
of us
we.
with T.O.
All three of us had T.O. on our team.
Yeah, Brother Snead though. Now, what I learned was Hollywood Brown requested out of Baltimore to go play with Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
I mean, and he
Baltimore is
never
a
played.
run first offense.
Yes.
And Marquise Brown is a very good receiver. But let's be real. He's fast. He can catch. But there were times when he had a lot of drops. You can't cry for the ball, then the ball hits you in your hands and it hits the turf. You know, like, come on, man.
I agree.
I like how he
need
blamed the OC on that. He blamed the OC. He didn't blame because the first when I'm looking at Baltimore Ravens game, I'm saying, okay, Lamar Jackson has to become a better pocket passer. But they didn't say nothing about Lamar. They just said the offensive coordinator has made it a run-first offense.
That's the strength. But just like I'm going to say this, never been a Cowboys fan, but I really do think that Tony Romo got a raw deal a couple of times with his reputation. You can't, don't get me wrong, he's thrown his interceptions just like anybody else, but you can't throw.
Not just like anybody else. I'm sorry to cut you though.
You can't throw while you on your back. You can't catch the ball. You can't play defensive back and cornerback. I mean, quarterback and defensive back.
I had the same argument for the naysayers about Donovan McNabb. He was asked. I know that, but there are a lot of naysayers. You know what I mean? And all I used to say is, before T.O., he was going to Pro Bowls. Here you go, brother JC, with James Trash and Todd Kingston. You know,
they was winning games.
So he was putting up numbers, and on top of that, people look and say, well, he doesn't have any accuracy. The last time I checked, when you throw the ball, right, it all like shooting jumpers. It starts with your legs. Am I wrong or right?
Absolutely.
His first season or second, correct me if I'm wrong, he broke his leg. On top of that, he had severe injuries that would ended anybody's career. He had a broken leg, he had a broken ankle, he tore his ACL. So
and he also was an alcoholic.
Damn, there you go.
Career
there you go.
That's a lot.
There you go.
All right, I ain't gonna mess with him. Big Dad, my boy. Big Dad, my boy. I just had to throw that one in.
So was Roger Staubach, but hey, but
yeah. No, I just had to jab Big Dad.
I never known him to be that. I never known him to be that. But I just know on the field, he gets busy with a lot less than most quarterbacks at the juncture that he was in. He was going to Pro Bowls with less. and a lot of other cats was going to Pro Bowls with more. So
Yeah, no, McNabb was definitely the truth.
And
McNabb was the truth.
they put that on him when he went to Minnesota, talking about he don't have good study habits. You know,
But
like
they put that on
again,
all the black quarterbacks. Yo.
exactly.
You can put 11 stallions on the field at one time on the racetrack. That don't mean there's chemistry. And sometimes you just don't have that chemistry because everybody is, not selfless. Everybody want the ball. Every down they was wide open. Every down they should have broke this way, should have passed it here instead of there. It's always something.
But it was just alluding to your point, whereas you were saying about Tony Romo. I think McNabb was better than Romo, but the thing, they wanted him to do everything. He can't run. He can't throw the ball, run down the field, and catch it. He can't be a defensive back. You know what I mean? He can't hand himself the ball off and then run. You know what I mean? He can't stop the other team's defense from scoring. He can't do that. But this is what seems like was being asked of him.
And Donovan took some hits and got right back up. And next
he
play,
was tough too. He was tough too. I think that's why he is like he's loved in Philly, because they gonna love you in Philly if you show that grit. And McNabb had
he
that.
definitely was gritty.
Well, he was that wasn't across the board, Magna Carta. Trust me.
No, I mean, some people didn't like him because they feel like he might have cost them some games. But I don't think anybody's going to question his toughness.
Nah, but it comes down to production, and so they feel as though,
Right.
I mean, as a quarterback, as a coach, you're gonna be the GOAT, and you're gonna get the glory. So I understand that. I understand that. My only gripe with McNabb was, which we talked about last time, is he got confused on who he really was, and he tried to become a pocket passer. You've never been that. You're never going to be that. You know what I mean? So let it rock. And so he wanted to be Peyton Manning or whatever pocket passer.
Can I ask you a question though, Nonchalant?
Before you ask the question, Magna Carta, Nonchalant, what did we say? Validation from, if you getting these quarterbacks that feel as though they got to prove that they're a pocket passer,
right?
That's the way of saying they need validation from the media, from other coaches, that they can throw from the pocket instead of just winning games.
True.
That's what I was going towards that question. I'm saying, do you feel like he thought that's what he needed to be, or
I promise you that
everybody else?
No, I promise you
he needed to be that.
No, only because the way he started playing. To whereas he started.
Same thing about Prescott. He the same thing.
He started playing to that style. You know what I mean? Instead of being who he was, he started playing to that. Oh, I have to drop back and be a pocket passer. You've never been that. You're never going to be that. So he bought into the BS that this is what it takes to be successful. This has never made you successful. So what do you mean? You know what I mean? Not you, Magna Carta, but I'm saying speaking.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? Like he put it this way, he bought into the hype. That's what I'm saying. He bought into that.
You're listening to Real Bar Talk with the Horsemen, with 4 individuals that have quarterbacks that are similar.
Yeah. They did the same thing to Steve Young, and they're gonna do the same thing to Lamar Jackson.
Similar.
Yeah.
The only thing they're
gonna do the same thing to Lamar Jackson.
They're gonna do it, but this is when he signs his contract. They're gonna put provisions, expectations. We need this, that, and the other, and it's up to him to say, "Nah, this is who I am. I'm gonna get better regardless." Speak on this,
JD, some of those provisions, I get it. Some of them, I mean, like, you have conduct, you have things like, you're going to have provisions anywhere. Prime example, are you wrong if you're an NFL owner and you give a 23-year-old $400 million, and one of those provisions are, as long as you want a contract, don't ride a motorcycle. They're off limits.
No.
Don't forget, if we went to and we went to an NBA All-Star game, wherever they're gonna hold it. How old are you, JD?
I'll be 53 this year.
Nonchalant?
Same.
Magna?
I am 38.
Think of it like this, at least for three of us, those could be our kids. They're young. They're reckless. Some of them, some of them have that maturity, but you just want to minimize their risks so you get a return on your investment. Because they're investments.
Absolutely.
And it
Yes,
ends
yeah.
a meeting like that. There ends a meeting.
That provision is probably needed, but a provision for you to say, we need you to complete a certain amount of passes inside the pocket, or I need you to study 8 hours out of the day.
Thing, it was a problem for me.
Yeah.
But you know what,
You
though?
should-
But
you
also,
shouldn't
they should be doing
He
it
should be-
anyway.
Yeah, he should be doing it anyway. Yeah,
Doing it anyway.
right. He should be doing it anyway.
I mean, ends a meeting.
But the thing about it is, like, with the quarterback position, being that we're talking about that, like, from the time we were playing Pop Warner, right? We played this position one way, right? And probably people that don't look like us, they have been given. We played a certain way and we were winning games, right? And we were never told. Well, I'm gonna say never, that's a strong word, but for the most part, when you're winning, you're never gonna be like, well, you have to do this because we're winning. We're different, you know what I mean? Whereas someone that doesn't look like us, they've been taught a certain way. So now when you get to
Willie Beeman said it best.
when you're winning in high school, doing it your way, you're winning in college, doing it your way, and then now you get to the pros and you go, you got to change all that. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes that could be a very hard pill to swallow because you're like, well, why should I change? Human behavior is something else. You know what I'm saying? And for you
But
to
you
have
know
to
what?
change
You're
your human
absolutely right.
behavior when you've been, like, you were successful. You were successful. And nobody moaned and complained about what you were doing. But now, at the drop of a hat, oh, you're going to have to change because we offering you all this money. It doesn't necessarily switch like that. That's not human
But you
behavior.
gotta learn. You gotta learn to adjust. And I'll give you a good example.
I'm just saying, I don't think we're always asked to adjust with the switch of a hat. Nobody else is asked to adjust like that.
All right, here's an example. The man we just talked about, Donovan McNabb. Great quarterback, great pocket passer, great athlete. Right?
He wasn't a great pocket passer.
I think he did an excellent job when he
Trust
did
me,
get back.
Trust me.
We gonna trust
Now,
you. We gonna trust you
now.
now. So now you're
Yeah, trust me. I was there, bro.
All right.
Well, go ahead.
All right. Donovan McNabb had a good conversation with someone, a modern day quarterback who's at the end of his career, retired, but talking about coming back. The dude had the same skill set. His name is RG3.
No.
Donovan,
I know where you're going with this. Go ahead.
Donovan McNabb told RG3, you need to make some business decisions. When you run for the sideline, and I'll tell you a story about something I saw with RG3 firsthand. When you run to the sideline, don't turn it upfield and try to get 2 or 3 extra yards. When you hit that sideline, run out of bounds, get you a sip of Gatorade, get back to that huddle. You could not tell RG3 anything. Then he ran into this 6'5", 340-pound lineman with 4.8 speed. He played with the Ravens at the time by the name of Haloti Ngata that stretched him out. He hadn't been the same since.
I think that's going to my point, though.
Yeah, but also it's just prolonging your career. Hey, I love Lamar Jackson. but also him running the ball 25, 28 times a game. I'm like, highly effective. It only takes one good hit. Let's be real. Let's be real with this. Tell me bounties don't happen.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
One good hit, stretch him out, even if it's a late hit and a penalty, he's gone. Career ending.
But the bounties that was going out back then wasn't on scrambling quarterbacks.
Well, they got Troy Aikman.
Yeah, he don't scramble.
LeVar Arrington put his career out.
You think earlier last year when Kyler Murray was running and all of that, did you realize he stopped running as much? Some linebacker, some defensive back, some safety, somebody got in his ear, was like, I wish, pray you would.
But that's
because I'm gonna stretch you out.
That
They
speaks
got
to
Steve
what I
Young
was saying
too.
is when you are young, Kyler Murray or Tyler Murray, whatever his name is young.
Kyler.
He's been asked to do what he has been doing since Pop Warner.
Yeah.
So now you're saying change all that up at the drop of a hat. When you're
I'm
used
saying
to
be
doing
smart about it.
when all of us were young and dumb, right? For the most part. Like let's keep it a bean right now. You know what I'm saying? We did some things that were very questionable. Let's say that.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're asking somebody that's young, yo, you got to be 30 or 40 now. You know what I'm saying? You have to be there with those decisions to whereas we don't arrive there at the same time. And that what you just said spoke to what I was saying. When these things happen to everyone you just was talking about, and I'm agreeing with you. When RG3, he was young when Donovan was telling him this. He was young. But the thing is, he's been doing this since Pop Warner. And so where he was mentally was, he's probably regretting it now, which a lot of us regret when people told us that we're older. Like we've listened to some things. We didn't listen to everything elders said. Come on, let's keep it a bean. So what I'm saying is I'm speaking to behavior. And when you're used to doing something successfully out the gate for many years, and then as a young person, you say, oh, you got to change that up. The average, I'm not saying because nothing is 100%. I'm not saying that. The average young person is going to be like, why should I? For who? Yeah. For what?
But also, it's not always what the message is. It's who's giving it to you.
That too.
And it comes with a factor.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yep.
Validation. I'm going to always go back to validation. I want to get ready to close this down. You got a power for the month, a power for the episode, Magna Carta?
Yeah, we ain't seen you like a month, Magna Carta. You ain't got that? Let's go.
I said a power
for
the month. I said a power for the month, but yeah, pun intended. One thing, man. Hold up, brother Snead. I've been watching a lot of tape on a young man from Bmore, and I'm talking about Tank Davis. Did you come across him when he was a young man in Bmore?
No, I don't think I have. I came across
Winky Wright. What about Winky Wright from Baltimore?
Wright.
Another. Yeah, he hurt my boy. He beat my favorite fighter, Trinidad. He destroyed him.
Well, you know who did that first, right?
Bernard Hopkins?
Yeah, B-Hop. Let's go. Yo,
come on, Philly in the building. All right, Philly in the building. I get it.
Yeah.
Tito got beat by a lot of people, man.
Nah, but B-Hop started that.
He got beat.
Who?
Tito.
Yeah, Tito, but B-Hop started that charge.
Damn it. Well, you know,
man, don't bring B-Hop in now, man, because
don't start hating on Philly again, yo.
I ain't hating on Philly, but come on, man. B-Hop, we're gonna talk about B-Hop now.
Yeah, we can do that.
No, my new guy.
If we're gonna talk about his start, we're gonna talk about his finish too.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that too.
I've been to a couple of his fights, though.
Huh?
I've been to a couple of his fights.
Who?
Hopkins. I saw him at the Whole spectrum.
Nice.
Very humble beginnings.
Have you seen
Praise.
Tank Davis fight live?
Brother Snead, have you seen Tank fight?
Nah, probably
Okay.
working.
But all right, but you said so.
That was
what
very
about,
emphatic.
what about Wiki Wright?
Not live.
I just want to know, like, because I'm following Tank Davis' story, and I just want to know, like, they say he was a kid that he was on the other side of the track, and boxing kind of reeled him in and got him. We spoke about how athletics play a role in cultivating these young men. And I listened to one of his stories, and it was like, yo, when he got in trouble in school, they punished him by taking boxing away from him. So I was just going to ask you, because he's from Bmore, did you come across him?
I'm from Orange, New Jersey.
Get it
Yeah,
right, get it
but your
right.
team, the Baltimore Ravens, though.
Yeah, he was talking strong about the Ravens.
And Lawrence Taylor's the best
Orange, New Jersey
linebacker.
don't have a football team.
Yeah, it is.
I grew up
Except
with a
the
Lawrence
Tornadoes.
Taylor jersey.
Except the Tornadoes.
Exactly.
Let's see it, man. Man, the car. Let's close it out, baby.
All right, so I don't know if I showed this one before. I think I'm gonna have to start writing it down because I really don't remember the apparel that I've been showing. So I'm gonna have to start writing it down so I don't be repeating. I might have showed this one already. I think I did, but I'm gonna show it again because I was just watching this Magic Moment with the Magic.
I don't know. Did he? Nah, I don't think you had that one.
I don't recall this one.
That's my man. That's my man.
Penny Hardaway.
Injuries
showing the
shortened his career.
Penny Hardaway.
Yeah. Absolutely. Much
I
love.
was just watching a documentary on him and Shaq that on Orlando. This Magic Moment. If y'all haven't watched it, watch it, man. It's good. That's a good one.
We'll check that. What's it called?
This Magic Moment is with him and Shaq on there, and Shaq, they talking about like the rise and the fall of the Orlando Magic's brief run in the Eastern Conference.
For Shaq
and how
left.
and how it broke down about how Shaq left, how Penny left, and how he was the jealousy started happening towards the two of them. It was quick.
Well,
listen, it was short-lived.
On behalf of the Horsemen, I would like to say I appreciate you coming on and joining us. We look forward to you coming back next Tuesday, because this ain't all about we own the city. This is about us just, trying to help our people and our community.
Appreciate you for your time, my brother.
Hey,
yes, sir.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. Look forward to breaking bread with you guys.
You are now a horseman, my brother.
Yep.
Thanks, Jay. You guys be easy, man.
Brother Jay signing off.
Magna Carta checking out.
I look forward to talking off script with you guys about some other stuff.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
definitely.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
All right, that'll be full disclosure. All right, easy.